You're listening to the NCF&B Podcast. The North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast takes you behind the scenes of North Carolina's food and beverage industry. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NCFB Pod, presented by Food Scene. That's foodscene.com, providing professional photography, social media management, video production, and website design. And now, enjoy the show.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the NCF&B Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss. And today we have the couriers of cuisine in Cary with us, the owner of Postmasters and chef, the owner, Mr. Tyler Watt, also of Pharmacy Bottle and Beverage in downtown Cary, and then his chef, Mr. Chris Lopez. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Wow, in unison. That was perfect.
Yeah. You guys have been doing this, yeah.
I said we're pros at this by now.
Seriously.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for coming on in. So, Matt, as Matt mentioned, Postmasters, which and the pharmacy, all in Cary.
All in downtown Cary. Yeah, we've been trying to bring Cary up a level the last couple of years. Pharmacy opened about 4 years ago. It was kind of the first beer spot in downtown.
Yeah.
And has had a nice run for the last couple of years, kind of growing a community. And it kind of laid the test ground for steps for the restaurant, for Postmaster. Mm-hmm. Chris and I met a few years ago and kind of came up with a plan to bring some higher quality food into downtown Cary. And so we started doing a couple pop-ups at Pharmacy on a grill out back and borrowing some space from whatever chef would kind of let us use their kitchen. We kind of ground rooted it up and then had a couple very successful ticket sales, which led us to kind of think, hey, this restaurant might be a concept that could work in Cary.
And I want to set the stage.
Sure.
By the way, with you guys being on, now we'll have 3 out of the 4 major new businesses in Cary, well, relatively new, bringing like the heat to downtown Cary with Bond Brothers.
Like a 100-yard walk from each other.
Bond Brothers, Sidebar, you guys, and then one of these days we're going to have Amber and Zach from Pizzeria Faulisi on as well, but we'll close that circle. Sure. Anyway, for people that are in other parts of the state or outside of the state that are listening, Cary is known as the containment area for replaced Yankees. So funny for me coming down here because I always thought of Cary as like, I'm a Yankee. This place is cool. Like you got relatively nice houses. It's pretty calm and like.
Of course.
Yeah. But
you're their target market.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But people have this opinion of like this is where restaurants go to die, and like beige houses and khaki pants and collared shirts, and there's like no edge to it. But and it's so funny, and I know Jim will be listening, but somebody I respect greatly and who needs to be on the podcast, Jim Wald, who used to run Santa Imports and runs Glass Half Full out there in Carborough. I was talking to him the other day, and I was with a supplier in my day job, and he's moving here and looking to live. He's like, oh, I like Cary. And, I mean, the angst of which Jim responded to that was just so forthright with vitriol. Oh, you do not want to live in Cary. No way. And I'm like, I like Cary. Like, what's wrong? And downtown is happening in Cary.
I have to interject on this because this is funny that you bring up that you're having a conversation with Jim Wald at Glass Half Full. Was this part of the 45-minute long epic conversation while other wine reps were waiting to sample their wares?
No, that was another one.
It was another time you made everyone else wait.
And I was last that day, so nobody else was waiting. I can't help that Jim's a wildly interesting dude,
Yeah.
And we're having good conversations. So.
Which then anyone that knows me who's ever purchased wine from me or sold wine to me would be like, Max, you are the pot calling the kettle black, because I usually just keep everyone in my domain like, and the next story, gather round, children.
As a buyer, that's the relationship game, right? I mean, that's what we do at Pharmacy is, reps will just line up on a Tuesday afternoon. You might have to wait 50 minutes to get a few minutes. Just because you got good conversations going, you're talking about cool things. it's a friendly relationship as much as it is a business relationship.
Sure. Do you give them rules? Because like as a rep, I had rules given to me, and then I also created rules. Like for one, you have rules that it's Tuesday, right?
Correct.
So you're not just bombarded all the time with a bunch of drop-bys, which is super annoying when you're trying to run your business.
We let it go pretty free for about the first year to year and a half, and then after that, it just became we have to put some structure to it.
Yeah.
So you'll find me here between these hours and these hours. You'll never find me here between here and here.
Yeah.
Now I practically lived at pharmacy, so you could always find me there. But I would always prefer to, kind of take business and personal and separate them a little bit. Let's put business on where it needs to be.
Yeah.
We're lucky now because on the alcohol side of things at Postmaster, we really have our layout kind of structured already based on pharmacy. So I kind of push a lot of the everyday reps to pharmacy and not to Postmaster. So it lightens up a little bit of our load at Postmaster. And it allows us to give a little bit more time. It allows us to schedule and plan and have more event-based kind of meetings other than, hey, try this beer, or hey, we've got a new release, or something along those lines.
So speaking of events, let's just get it in right there. It's a natural segue. For those that, once you hear more, and we'll tell you this again, but in a week from today, when you're hearing this, on August 23rd, starting at 5 o'clock at Postmasters, we are doing an All About the Bottle night at Postmasters in Cary, where Chef Chris has designed a menu to be paired with certain bottles of wine. I will be on the floor somming as guest somm. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
And we have already pre-chosen some awesome bottles to really match your food and have an experience. So come, don't drive, have 2 or 3 bottles, bring your 4 tops. It's going to be a hell of a night.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I think what we're going to focus it around is an idea of celebrate a bottle at a table with some friends. So it's not necessarily you want to come in and each get your own little item. It's come in with a big group. It's order 2 or 3 bottles. It's try the menu, share, have kind of a festive night out.
Yeah, breed a community feel, revolving around some really good food and some really good wine.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
So for anyone listening who wants to buy tickets, the next 30 minutes or so of this podcast is going to determine whether or not you're going to want to go.
That's right.
Sell it, boys. Why should we go to Postmaster? No, but let's have a little perspective.
Sure,
Who
absolutely.
the hell are you, Tyler? And what made you feel like you could open up this bottle shop? Why do you have the chutzpah, as Matt's people would say,
Nice use of the word.
the gall, as my people would say, to just open this up?
Touching back to what we were just talking about of Cary being kind of this island in a sense of, do people want to live there? Do people don't want to live there? Is it just beige?
Yeah.
I grew up in Raleigh, so back in the 80s, the only reason to go to Cary was for a hot dog at Ashworth's.
Pot. There's that dude.
Open land, yeah. But, in the last couple years alone, I think you've seen that changing. I think people that are coming here, be it that they're, from the north or from the south, that they just don't want chain restaurants anymore. And that's what Cary was just kind of suburbia strip mall chains.
Yeah.
And I think you've seen some small influx over the years of successful restaurants that don't fit that mold. But literally within the last 4 or 5 years, I think that has really started to turn. And nobody really wants to eat at a chain restaurant anymore. They want something unique. So that's really where it came from, was an opportunity just to be unique and be different than anywhere else in Cary. Cary is 8 miles from downtown Raleigh. It's 12 miles from downtown Durham. It's very centrally located.
Yeah.
And so, we're kind of that area that it was the last kind of area that didn't have something unique. And like you were saying, now there's Bond and Sidebar and pizza, and they're about to open a new bagel and donut shop.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like right around the corner from you guys.
Right around the corner, yeah. There's, the park is up and running. There's a new regional library. This area has a lot of momentum right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And even that movie theater right next to pharmacy is showing some really avant-garde stuff
Yeah,
that
they do.
I hear people talking about. And I'll also give a shout out to my buddy Doug Gambardella at Chatham Street Wines, which has a cool little downtown wine shop where you can go have a glass of wine while you look around, and then go to the movie theater, go to pharmacy, have a couple of beers. It's really happening. It's fun. You don't have to go to downtown Durham or downtown downtown Raleigh to enjoy.
Yeah, you can hit 6 places in one night.
Yeah.
Now.
This section of the podcast is not sponsored by Visit Cary, though it should be. All right, let's talk about you
I
yourself.
think that gives great perspective into what's going on and why that's outdated. That opinion of Cary is like,
absolutely.
oh, you don't want to live in Cary.
Right.
Actually, you kind of do now.
Well, and it's like a tale about, and it's universal no matter what city you're in. There are little suburbs that were once, a sleepy little family town or so that then eventually, this whole area is growing. It's the point of the show is that we're documenting the growth of the triangle, the county and the state. And how it builds, and now Cary is a hotspot. It's a new cool place. It's the Brooklyn of the boroughs out here, right?
It's more like the Queens, because Durham has their rights on Brooklyn.
Is that
or like Astoria, Queens?
Okay.
Which is,
Yeah,
Sure.
just across the tracks there, right? Across
Exactly.
40 right there.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is a great place, and it is still affordable. And I think that's really what drew us to wanting to open in Cary over Raleigh or Durham is we can be unique. We can kind of be a front runner and kind of drive a little bit of the way the rest of the area kind of looks at what's happening in downtown Cary.
Yeah,
Totally.
Now you guys come from some pedigree, though. Like I know, Chris. Keep it down, by the way. Stop talking.
Just blabbermouth over there.
You guys have worked, like you said, Tyler, you from Raleigh and all, but you've been out here. Chris, I understand that you've come up through the ranks through the old AC
Empire.
tool, the tree, Ashley Christensen tree, right? So give us some perspective of growth and where you guys came from before that led you to get to this point.
So as far as my career in the culinary industry, I started cooking when I was 19.
He's 21 right now, just so you guys know.
24, all right. I'm getting old. But
Well, now I'm not sure if you're being honest or not. Are you really 24?
Yeah, I'm 24.
Holy cow, he's a kid.
Yeah, I was up at Appalachian State University, and I was spending my entire meal plan and skipping classes to cook for friends. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to go home and cook. So I landed myself a job at La Farm Bakery, worked there for about a year, and then moved over.
See, it all comes back to Cary.
Yeah.
So I moved over to Jewel Coffee and Table under Sonny Gerhardt. Spent about 3 or 4 years there, and then whenever it transitioned from Jewel into St. Rock, I stuck around with Sonny just because he's a great dude. Loved working with him, and helped him reface the space and open up St. Rock. And then most recently, I've just been here.
Nice.
How did you guys get together? Get in bed together?
So one of my old co-workers at Jewel, who actually currently works at St. Rock, he is an old buddy of Ty's, and we all got together and just kind of started shooting the shit about the idea of opening a restaurant. This was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, at least 3
And
years.
so it's slow moving. You have meetings, and then it's like, oh, can't find a space, or that space we were looking at just got sold. So we hit a lot of bumps in the road. And it kind of just fell through. And then one of my friends and I were at I think it was like a Wicked Weed event, tap takeover at Pharmacy. And we went just on a whim on a Friday night because we were bored and hadn't seen Ty in a few months. And I went up and I was like, hey, think you interested in doing a beer dinner here? And he was just like, yeah, sure, let's do it. We paired up with Appalachian Mountain Brewery and did a 4-course ticketed beer dinner where we turned Pharmacy into a restaurant, and it was all Appalachian themed. So we kind of took the theme of Appalachian's past, present, and future, and did courses based off that, and we sold out tickets in 2 days. Which for a bunch of, well, for me, a nobody and a reputable
bar only at that time.
To do some serious food like that,
we sold out in 2 days. I think we sold 60 tickets.
Yeah, we had about 60 tickets. That's
pretty awesome.
And we did it in one night, and pardon my French, but Ty went up to me at the end of it and just goes, fuck it, let's open a restaurant. And lo and behold, about a little less than a year, or a little over a year, Postmaster opened its doors.
Nice.
So that was kind of one of the moments where we hit the ground running and really started trying to get things going. Yeah.
Cool. Let's take this natural break to highlight one of our sponsors before we get back to the story about you guys meeting together and the impetus for Postmasters.
Sure.
Let's talk about our sponsor. It's on your back bar, Social House Vodka.
Yeah, Social House Vodka, local, Kinston. It's a delicious vodka. I mean, we've talked about it pretty often on the show. I think one of the best things, and maybe you guys would agree, that it's not only just delicious and local, it's it's a pretty good deal. So, I mean, when you start comparing it to other vodkas that are, the Belvederes, the Chopins, and even the Tito's, it's like, oh, this is pretty awesome product, and it's like $20 at
it's really affordable. It makes
the
sense
local
for your
shop.
Program. So get Social House.
Yeah, we've seen a nice movement in Postmaster on the bar, and what we like to see about it is there is some name recognition with it that's coming along. People are requesting it. I think that is another push towards drinking local. And so I think that's a nice fit in our bar, Social House. It's been a good mover for us.
Yeah, with all like local breweries and even the wineries coming up, it's a natural progression to have a good distiller. And North Carolina was once the biggest distiller in the state, in the union. I mean, in the country, and through Prohibition and all that, things kind of step-sided. So now we're on our way back. Yeah.
We might use that testimonial going forward. No, but that was really serendipitous that you guys met, because having worked with you guys a little bit on my day job, and now that we're kind of think tanking this dinner that we're doing, it's pretty clear that you guys really work well together. And also to find a chef this young and this driven that has this much chops, like you're doing some pretty high level food with Southern basis in it. It's kind of a really it's serendipitous.
It's worked out great. If you were in Raleigh in the late 90s or early 2000s, there's a high possibility that everyone.
Right.
And so
well, even me, I've been here for 2 years, and like not to say that I'm somebody like super,
that guy from that podcast?
But no, I go, it's funny, like I went out to dinner with my parents, to Stanberry, and like 5 times out the meal, kind of get up to say hi to somebody.
Absolutely.
But that's just to speaking to downtown Raleigh rather than...
My daughter, Alexandra, will say when we go out, she actually said one time, "Daddy, are you famous?" I go, no, I'm not. I'm like, why? She goes, you know everybody, or they know you when we go out. I'm like, this is a small town, and the food and beverage industry is really tight-knit.
It's incredibly
tight-knit. Yeah. And so,
and I'm famous.
In your own mind.
My kind of history of knowing some of these people in the industry and some of the connections I have, like I said, a buddy of mine that I've known since the 90s introduced me to Chris, and we just all kind of hit it off. And then through some of the menu creation, very high level back in the day, not even really what we're doing now.
Not even close.
But just, the starting point of some of the conversation of what we were looking to do, how we would want to do it. Just kind of built a friendship.
Yeah, I think the think tank from day one has always been kind of clear that we can bounce ideas off of each other without any, harsh criticism unless it's necessary, and then, kind of negotiate, make compromises till we all get what we want, and the end product is something that's, stellar, but also affordable and accessible, and just kind of makes everybody happy. Stuff that we're proud to put on a plate and stuff that people are proud to purchase.
Yeah, and so not only is it a great story, but it's been really well received. You guys received a glowing review from Greg Cox, 4 stars.
I think a lot of that had to happen, or a lot of that came from the fact that now he doesn't have to drive to downtown. And he has
Does he live in Cary?
Automatic 3
He
stars.
does live in Cary.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, you have 3 stars going in.
Greg Cox's wife noted, quote, "As longtime Cary residents, we found Postmaster a refreshing change of pace."
Yeah.
So it's like, you guys were just pandering. You're like, hey, Greg, we're going to open up right next to your house just to help out.
Well, it's funny because when I spoke to Greg about the article coming out, he had mentioned that he was a big fan of pharmacy and had come in multiple times, and that we had met previously. And, I kind of dropped my jaw and was kind of like,
how did I miss that one?
Yeah,
I believe you said, hopefully I have not been an asshole to you.
The beer industry is a little bit different than the restaurant industry. You can get a little craft beer gruff every once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been in a couple times. He's enjoyed himself. And I think he also in the downtown Cary, promotional sales ad is a big proponent of what's happening down there.
Yeah.
So I think, again, Cary's just this kind of maturing area right now. But we were very thankful that he came in and enjoyed the food. And, what we took from his review is that we were going in the right direction, that we were hitting kind of what people wanted to see from us.
Yeah.
And so we've continued just to kind of grow on that. And I think it's been it's been good, and we're looking forward to what the next couple months, years bring for us. No doubt about it.
I wonder if, and kind of made light of it, saying that you already were getting an extra star just for where you put it. But I wonder if, in all honesty, the fact that you guys decided to open up what you're doing, which could be considered a really cool downtown restaurant in, say, Raleigh or Durham or Los Angeles, if you will.
Sure.
But the fact that you're doing that style in a town that doesn't have that at the same level, that is part of the influence. That he's like, I love that these guys decided to do this there. It's like where you put it, location.
Right.
Sometimes is why it succeeds or whatever, and maybe that's why he's even more inclined to say this is even a better restaurant because they chose to put it in a place that is not your typical location.
Right, and you're exactly right. Yeah, the location definitely doesn't matter. So many people that I work with in downtown Raleigh, anywhere else in the Triangle, their end goal is always neighborhood restaurant. We want to be that upscale spot where you also feel comfortable going to. We are fortunate enough to actually have that. A lot of our regulars walk down the street and they come to us.
Yeah.
They have been Cary through and through, or some have been in Cary for 2 years, and they love the spot because they can come in, know that they can get a solid cocktail, good plate of food, and they know all of us by name. They know that they can get one of their favorite servers to be on their table or come sit at the bar, and Patrick will take care of them. And
Patrick, your bar manager.
Yes,
yeah.
Correct. And just the amount of regulars that we see in the community that we've been seeing growing just in Postmaster has been awesome, and getting that neighborhood feel has been really, really rewarding.
Yeah, for those that are maybe not on the restaurant side of the business in terms of in the industry, maybe fans of the industry, that is the ideal for a restaurant because you ultimately don't want to be a destination place because then your business is so roller coaster, ups and downs. But when you're a neighborhood place, that means you have return business 2, 3, sometimes even 4 times a week.
And we see that. Our goal was always, like you said, not to be a destination or a special event type space.
My birthday, the anniversary, Mother's Day.
Now, while you can,
we can accommodate that and make it the best meal that you're going to have.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you want to come in and just enjoy yourself on the patio or sit at the bar and have a little bit of a more relaxed kind of dining atmosphere, that's super doable. I mean, we're casual.
right.
Well, let's talk some specifics. Let's be a fly on the wall when you two were designing the menu, and what is the style of your menu, and maybe give us examples of things that would definitely not work there for that reason.
Well, I'll just start because Chris is the mastermind. I always play the joke that I just pay the water bill. Chris is the genius, and I'm just in the back kind of managing the paperwork. But, the one story I'll tell quickly before Chris kind of goes into detail about the menu is we had an octopus dish on. And I swore up and down it would not sell. Cary was not ready for octopus. And I was wrong. Way wrong. It was our number one mover for 6 months. We just rotated it off about 4 weeks ago, and it's coming back. We already have plans to bring it back. But yeah, touch on some of your favorites.
As you had said, how would we describe our food? One of my favorite ways to describe eating at Postmaster is it's kind of nostalgic in a sense. I don't like food to be overly complex and crazy fancy by any means. I want something that you can sit there and, on a cold winter day, feel like you're getting a warm hug from your grandma.
Do you put a big sweater on and you wrap both hands around your coffee mug?
Scarves.
And you slowly sip and look off in the distance?
Like a Folgers commercial.
Yeah.
But one of the best compliments that I've received since we opened was I was eating at Postmaster with my girlfriend and her parents, and her father is from Mexico, and we have a dish on the menu that is very, very much influenced by my Italian mother. It's got squash, seasoned mushrooms, tomato gravy, or tomato sauce take, some cornbread, some goat cheese. It's a southern twist on something that my mother and grandmother would have made. And my girlfriend's Mexican father took one bite and was like, wow, this is something that my mother would have made.
Wow.
You just took me back to my childhood. And I think that's one of the coolest things, that something that I see as influenced by a completely different culture evoked similar memories and similar feelings in a completely out of this world different culture.
That's cool.
From Italian, which I think that it's it goes to show how universal food is, and I think that's really, really, really cool. So I try and think about those kinds of feelings and those kinds of memories and, just overall feelings of comfort whenever I design a menu.
That's like the movie Ratatouille, right?
Which is one of my favorite movies. Honestly, when
it is an excellent movie.
I was about 12 or 13 when that movie came out, and I was like, I want to do this for a living.
Don't get me wrong. You must have the most suspension of disbelief that a rat could hang out on the head of a human and move him around. Once you get past that,
but it's the point of making that anybody can cook, and it's about the flavor, and then
it's kind of a Cyrano de Bergerac type of thing too. Like he's doing it for someone else, and then
But I just don't want to lose the point of the whole point of the movie is when the critic, this highfalutin critic, comes in and eats the ratatouille.
Just instantly shoots him back.
Shoots him back to his childhood of eating something his mother would make.
Our recipe book in the kitchen, for all the cooks, go into, has a printed out fake cover of Gusteau's cookbook.
Oh, that's cool.
On the front of it.
We gotta get a picture of that.
Yeah, I saw that movie about 8 times in theaters when I was a kid. I loved it. I was always
Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, I was always infatuated with movies about cooking when I was younger. There was one, it's really cheesy, on Disney Channel. It was called Eddie's $1 Million Cook-Off. And it was like
sounds awesome.
It was like some like teenage guy whose dad was pushing him to be like a professional baseball player, and then Bobby Flay was in town, and Bobby Flay's in the movie, and was doing some sort of like cooking show, and the kid had to be like, I'm sorry, Dad, but I'm gonna be a cook instead, and it was this whole disappointing thing, and it's really funny, but I always loved it.
Did he win over his dad by sending his dad back to his childhood off the menu that he made?
Yeah,
no spoilers here.
But it sounds like
now streaming on Netflix.
Yeah, but it sounds like the cooking version of Little Big League, or what's the guy where the guy has the arm and he pitches?
It sounds like the version of any movie made ever.
Exactly. Yeah.
But hey, if you're a little cook, if you're a little Chris Lopez looking in it, then you want to see that.
So, was there a menu item that you were creating in the beginning that was kind of like, oh damn, this is what defines what I want to do. This is the type of food I like to make.
I think one of the most identifying moments that we had was our chicken set on the winter menu. It was a buttered rice with just a big old chunk of chicken leg on it, cast iron seared, with some crispy black-eyed peas, and I think it was an herb broth that we put on top of it, maybe even a chicken broth.
That kind of that feels like a Latin feel to it in a way, mixed with Southern, right? Is that...
That's right, be wrong.
And the butter that was used to butter the rice was actually kind of a take on when my grandmother from Cuba was in town. We were cooking dinner together. She was making chicken and rice, and she was showing me how she makes sofrito with no recipe at all. She was getting tomato paste, her vinegar, her bay leaf, her onion, her garlic, and everything together. And just that little pack of flavor that's in maybe a half a cup's worth that seasons a whole family's worth of rice. I thought it was incredibly interesting. I've worked with sofrito in the past, but seeing my grandmother do it just the way that her grandmother probably did it, and generations before. So what I did was I took a kind of a basic recipe for sofrito, and I just threw a bunch of country ham in it, and pureed it, and then folded it in to make a compound butter out of it. So it was like, it almost looked like Velveeta. It was like bright orange-ish kind of. It looked gross, like Cheese Whiz kind of stuff.
That sounds delicious.
But then we would
delicious.
We used that, and we butter the rice, and people were saying like, sell just this rice.
Can I have just that rice?
Right.
Yeah, or the butter for that matter. Yeah.
And that's what the majority of staff eats for like a staff meal is. Chris, can I just have some rice and some of these black-eyed peas? Or we have a.
Do you offer health insurance to your staff?
Yeah. They probably need it with the amount of rice and butter they eat, no doubt about it.
It was one of those moments that was like, really, really taking something that meant a lot to me and putting a twist on it that means a lot to this region and this culture, and then kind of melding them together and still maintaining that homey, hearty, comforting feel. I think that was a really, really good turning point for Postmaster. Kind of showing that we're going in that direction of, you can come here, have a really, really, really dope meal, but it's also comforting, and you don't feel out of place.
And how do you transition that into a spring and summer menu where you want some lighter fare and something that you don't feel so full and it's hot out and stuff like that?
I'm gonna be honest, I struggle a little bit.
Okay.
I'm a fat kid, I want all the butter, I want all the bells and whistles, I want it all. But we're so fortunate to be where we are and be in this growing area with local farms and smaller scale operations that are just coming up that just send you an email every week and they're like, hey, this is what we have. They make it so easy. And working with all those people is great. We just rotated a lighter fare on the menu. It's our salted watermelon panzanella.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. It's a beautiful dish. To me, it epitomizes summer in North Carolina. And
what kind of bread are you using for that?
So we have a bolted bread baguette that we use for the croutons.
Cool.
For that, we were frying them at first, but that was too much. See, that's the fact.
Yeah. Make everything just taste better. Butter fry.
But now we're just tossing them in olive oil, some salt, and doing them low and slow in the oven until they're nice
That's my
and
wife's
crunchy.
jam.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we make panzanella at the house pretty often.
Yeah, it's great.
That's how
stuff.
we get our breads.
But getting to work with Chickadee Farms out of Clayton, and the tomatoes that she gives us are beautiful, and they just make it so easy to come up with really creative stuff when you have a surplus of so many things.
Well, let's go deeper into your house, Chris Lopez, Chef Chris Lopez, because you're not just the only one in your house that's cooking. And in fact, I think the first time I met you, you were helping your girlfriend. I was going to say wife, but it's your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Maria.
He's 24, man.
Yeah. Stay single, homie. I'm just sorry, Maria Luna? Maria Luna,
yeah.
Yeah. Because the first time I met you, I met her at the same time, and you two were both at Sidebar. You were behind the bar, our BFF of the show, Matthew Bettinger's, and previously mentioned Sidebar in Cary, because she has a business, Confetti Egg Confections, correct?
Correct.
And she was doing like really, really cool brunch items,
right.
And the Trujillos took Mama Trujillo out on Mother's Day to, most people go to the Angus Bar, and I take my wife to the bar.
To the liquor bar.
With my two children.
And you just called her Mama Trujillo. I don't think she's ever been referred to as that. But anyway.
Well,
It's going to happen now.
Sidebar.
Sidebar at the Sidebar. We went there. You got to tell them which item of the, I think, 8 things that you had on the menu, what did we buy?
One of each, I believe.
That is correct.
Yeah.
All of it?
We just were like, oh my God, that looks so good. That looks so good. Look, I'm like, let's just get it all. We'll get all of this.
That's like the old joke when you go to a restaurant and you're like, no, we'll have that. You're like, what do you mean? Which one? No, that. Like the menu.
We did that at Rose's Luxury in D.C. because the menu was so amazing.
Yeah.
We just ordered everything. We're like, there were 15 small items on there, and it was 4 of us. We just went, this all looks good. And then at the very end, because I'm not a fan of calamari, I just think it's so mundane, and I bet they do an awesome version of it, but I said, you know what, just to be an asshole, everything but the calamari. They go, the calamari's great. I'm like, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
You're giving us all this other stuff. I don't want it. And then they ended up bringing us out 3 different dishes on top of it, so we even had more than what people would get
3
there.
types of calamari.
Yeah. Calamari on top of calamari.
Well, and we love that and again, we do small plates, we do larger entree size, but we get the biggest kick out of a ticket printing out, and it's all 8 small plates.
Yeah.
And you look over at the table, and there's maybe 3 people, and you can just tell they're out to have a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Try everything.
And that makes we perform at the top level for everyone, but when we see something like that, it gives you that little boost.
Yeah.
Well, you think about when you cook at home, you cook in larger portions, and the whole family sits around the table, and you all just share those portions.
Right,
so it's like, so why does everyone need their own meal when you go out? It's like, no, let's just get a platter of this, and we all take pieces off. I find that to be the most communal and most engaging way to eat. Because also, if you order something and it's not very good compared to somebody else, then you're not having the same dining experience, and you walk out of it going, meh. And they're like, no, I thought the place was awesome. It's like,
exactly.
Well, you
food
ordered
envy
wrong.
is real. Food envy is real. You see something come across, and you're like, that looks better than what I got. So, when we see people wanting to try 6-8 things, and then 2 larger entrees that they're splitting between 3 or 4 people, that's what we're going for.
I think that's why my relationship has worked out so well with Mama Trujillo, because when we were first dating, and small plates were not a thing 18 years ago when we met. It was all fully composed dishes, and I was working at Wolfgang Puck and all. But when we first went out, I just said, I don't know. I think I want to get that pasta, and I want to get that steak, and that salad looks awesome. can we get all of those and share it? She's like, I'm so happy you said that.
Exactly.
And it was like, boom, fell in love right there, because it was just, that's the way to eat, just
absolutely.
enjoy.
Maria and I are the same way when we go out, and we're both rooted in food, so it's a little easier to be like that, and that, and she's like, oh, I don't like this, and we're like, well, let's try it anyways, and
if you don't like it, I'll eat more of it.
yeah,
Exactly.
it's been absolutely fantastic. But just to touch on her
where
one
does
more
she
time,
come from with the rooted in food?
So she's from Missouri, actually. Some odd circumstances of life landed her here in Raleigh. We met on Tinder, which is great.
Yeah.
But we're going almost 2 years strong now. But she currently works on the pastry team at Ashley Christensen Restaurants
cool.
at Ox under Chef Brittany Stevenson and Frankie Smith, which are both really good friends of mine.
At Ox?
At Ox, yeah.
Ox is the commissary.
Right. Yeah.
So that's currently her full-time job, but she is also our pastry chef at Postmaster. Maria is behind all of our awesome desserts, all of our bread programs, whatever baking and pastry that I can't do, she does. So we have her on as a consultant, and everything's been absolutely fantastic. She took our stupid panna cotta game and turned it into full-blown cheesecakes, and we actually are running right now with Take on a Cup of Dirt, which I think is really fun. We're making our gummy worms in house, the whole 9 yards.
Cup of dirt, so it's
pudding.
Oh, it's pudding. Okay.
with a chocolate cocoa nib streusel. But one thing that we did want to do that I thought was really fun, and this is coming out of her mind, was take the idea of red clay in North Carolina. So we have a chocolate cake that we soak in red wine to kind of be the base of it, to kind of be that hearty red clay aspect of it all. But it's a really nostalgic dish. It takes you back to when you're 5 and your mom's making you snack packs with crumbled Oreos
when my
on
mom
top.
poured wine all over my chocolate.
Yes.
Thanks, Mom.
Mine was Manischewitz.
But the dessert program has really, 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 really expanded since we brought her on, and with brunch that brings coffee. So we are really excited that we get more and more people that are coming in for dessert and coffee. That's something that makes Maria super happy to see that people are having a nightcap there, ending their little date night over a piece of Goat Lady Dairy cheesecake and some decaf coffee, what have you.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to see that grow and grow. Right now we have 2 desserts on the menu at all time. We're looking to grow that, do more and more as we grow more and more.
Yeah, as we were talking the other day about this dinner, you were getting me excited, and I'm not even the biggest dessert guy, but we were kind of trying to figure out how, it's all about the bottle, so let's get a bottle of bubbly to start, and then we'll put the cap back in, put it cold, and then you have it back out for dessert. So it's like a full bottle used, and trying to work out a light dessert. And you were telling me a little bit about this angel food cake idea and a light style, and it sounded like, damn, that's going to be tasty.
So for that Mother's Day brunch that Max was at, she did a white cake that had a Montenegro soak with a rose buttercream and actual dehydrated rose petals wrapped around the whole cake, and it was gorgeous.
It was
delicious,
beautiful and delicious.
So we're obviously we still got some kinks to work out, and I told her about my ideas yesterday, and she of course has her qualms about my ideas. But
so basically, you are married.
But I think we're going in the right direction as far as like a lighter, more champagne forward dessert, which I think will be really, really cool. But that's something that she really, really. I mean, the name confetti egg comes from, I had no idea, but apparently in Mexican culture you have these hollowed out, colorful eggs that your abuelita would fill with confetti, and then on Easter, whatever social event you have, you just throw them at each other and confetti goes everywhere. So we were grocery shopping around Easter, and the grocery store had, for $1, you can get a dozen confetti eggs, and she freaks out. She's like, oh, I haven't seen these in years. And I was like, what the hell were those things? So whenever
the Mexican culture loves just making a goddamn mess.
Piñatas.
You want some candy, kids? Beat the shit out of that thing, and then let it explode all over the place like a goddamn atom bomb.
But when she was deciding, what to call her side business, she was like, well, I want it to be colorful because it's just her nature. Bright orange, everything was how her apartment was themed before we moved in together. But she was thinking of ways to make it super colorful, and I was like, well, how about confetti eggs? And so confetti egg confections is what ended up, and she's really excited about that because what she ultimately wants to do is mess around with a lot of candies, which you see a lot of bakeries in the area doing pastry, the whole 9 yards, but
she has to make a dessert confetti egg, right? Like, she's compelled to do this now.
That is a great idea.
Get on it, Maria Luna. Get on that.
I'm sure she's going to do it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Just filled with sprinkles.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about beverage. We will take a quick break to actually talk about our sponsor who provides us with a lot of beverage.
And you can find in Cary as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of a conflict of interest here, but if you go to Triangle Wine Company, there are stores in Morrisville, Cary, and Southern Pines. So, you get your wine over there. You can get it online, But the guys at Triangle Wine Company have been great friends of ours and great supporters of the show, and we very much appreciate what they do to help us keep the lights on here. But it also is a great working relationship because they always keep us up to date with, like, new rosés that are coming out, new beers. Anytime I'm there to hang out, they're like, have you had this beer yet? You got to have this beer. I'm like, okay, twist my arm. And so they have a nice little, bar there, and you can sample great wines, great beers. They have a lot on tap at all times. And I think probably the best feature of the whole thing is that you have a great experience online, too, because you can create your own account. You can shop through. It's a really usable online resource. And then if it makes sense and you're somewhat in the area, they'll deliver the product to your house. So,
which is awesome because if you don't feel like going out one night and you've been to Postmasters and Bond Brothers and Taipei 101 and you're like, I need to be in tonight, you just call up our friends at Triangle Wine Company and they deliver.
Yeah, so trianglewineco.com for all of your needs. And then because you're a fan of the show and a friend of the show, use the NCFB podcast promo code to receive a discount on your next order. That said, let's talk about a little bit of booze, because I was thinking when we talked about sharing food and sharing small plates, and even if just big plates, kind of made me think about this dinner that you guys are doing. It's all about bottles. Well, you're effectively sharing bottles at a table, so it's almost like having a big steak in the front that you slice up. Well, everybody gets to have this rosé first, and then everyone gets to have the same shared experience. So what does that look like? And I'm looking at you, Matt, because it looks like you helped put that together, right?
Well, I'm just helping out curating the wines for that night. They have a whole other cocktail and beer program that's pretty fantastic, so I won't talk about that. I'll just say the idea behind that is, I was talking with Tyler, and he's like, we're still really in our infancy in the wine program where people are just going towards by the glass because they feel comfortable with that, and you guys do switch that up, and that's always a good thing. But it's like going to the bottle list, especially with when people are on the floor that know something about it, is next level type stuff. It's like go behind the curtain a little bit and really get deep into it.
Yeah, I think everybody that comes into a restaurant would love to be able to sample 5, 6, 7 wines and then make a decision, or that was their decision that they wanted to do a flight of wine. And so the idea behind this was to push a little bit of maybe some varietals of wine that aren't on every menu in downtown Cary, and expose you to a few things that we're doing, exposing it to maybe a new region of wine that you're not interested in or don't know a lot about. So the whole idea is let's break open some wines, some quality wines that we think we're going to do at a very reasonable price.
Yeah.
And share. Yeah, bring in this foretop. Bring in your mom and dad. Make it an event. We're not charging tickets. There's no preset pricing on it. It's just come on in and we'll throw some different options at you.
What's a good example? Not to put you on the spot, but what's something that you're digging right now, whether it's beer, wine, whatever?
Well, so one of the ideas that was kind of lingering for me based on some of the conversations that we've had the last couple of days is we tried a really nice Barolo yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit higher on the spectrum than we normally bring in. Or let me rephrase it, that we currently have brought in.
Higher cost-wise. Yeah, Barolos are not cheap.
Correct. But this was saved in the bag for the last for the right reason because it was that good. But we all really enjoyed that. Now, we don't really have a price point there, but we want to grow to that price point. And so the idea was, how do you sell this big bottle to a foretop? So we started coming up with this idea of this kind of oversized charcuterie board with maybe a shank and some house vegetables and some pickles and just this whole kind of bounty of things, all focused around this high-end bottle, but still very approachable, still shareable, still pickable, But, really the bottle is what's speaking to driving what will come on the kind of shared plate.
Yeah.
And we just kicked around all these ideas. And so that was something that has been kind of lingering in my mind as something that I would like to eat that night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the whole shared menu experience really helps the SOM in this regard, right?
Of course. But it's just like you said, when you're at home and you're sharing plates, like, you're not opening up multiple bottles of wine. This is the wine we're drinking tonight.
Yeah.
So it's like, and so, like, usually in a restaurant, the way it goes is the way that sommeliers will direct you is order the food and then we'll choose a wine that pairs with your food. But we're kind of reversing it to make the menu work with the wine.
Yeah.
And make the food work with the wine. So let's start with the wine tonight.
I think what was really cool about doing that is it'll really kind of highlight not only the bottle of wine, but like the complexities of that bottle of wine. We can pair 2 or 3 different items with that one bottle, and you take one bite of one thing, take a sip of the wine, take a bite of another thing, take a sip of the wine, and it's a completely different experience. And I think that's something really, really cool and unique that will make that event a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I think I want to go.
Yeah, you should. And it's not like you're gonna charge different prices or anything. It's just there might be a couple of special items, but it's not like, oh, it's a set menu and you have to pay this amount to get in. Come in like a regular dinner, and if you want to do this, do it. If you want to order off the regular menu, do that.
Absolutely. If you want to come in, like casual. I said, there's no set price. We recommend reservations.
Give us some contact information.
Sure. Give us a call at Postmaster. It's 919-378-9493. We're there 6 days a week. Can take reservations anytime.
And its website is postmasterscary.com?
Postmasterscary.com. We're located right in downtown Cary, pretty much the intersection of Walker and Chatham, pretty much in the heart of downtown Cary.
Yeah. You guys are in the back of an auto body shop. It just adds to the edge, because you would not think about a restaurant there.
Yeah. We are in a unique spot. We're prominent. But yeah, we are kind of on the back side of downtown Cary.
Yeah, but it just adds to your edge, like I said.
Yeah.
You guys have answered this question before, but Postmaster, what's up with the name?
So Postmaster, we kind of kicked around quite a few names, but
some really bad names.
Some really bad names to start. But Postmaster kind of came about because our building stares at the first home built in downtown Cary, dating back to 1903, the Page Walker House. And Frank Page, the founder of Cary, deemed himself to be the first of many things. So he was the first, inspector. He was the first firefighter. He was the first mayor. He was also the first postmaster general for the area. Mm-hmm. And that's actually how kind of Cary came about. It was a stop on the rail line for postal services. Mm-hmm. And so we're kind of the first on this back Cedar Street. We're really the only business on our block. And so we kind of started kicking around, hey, we're the first, he was the first, pay homage to the house across the street. And so kind of Postmaster kind of kicked together a little bit.
Nice.
And then it just kind of steamrolled from there. We liked the sound. We liked some of the imagery that we were coming up with.
Branding was pretty easy to draw influence from a lot of like postal symbols and stuff.
Can I leave my mail there?
You may not. We do get a lot of phone calls.
We do get a lot of phone calls.
That my Amazon package has not shown up. It's about 3.5 weeks late.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
you're gonna get a whole lot more now too. Yeah. You just put your number on the show.
Yeah.
The conversation always ends in, well, do you have the number for the postmaster? I'm like, I do not.
Do you ever say, no, but do you want to book a two-top? I have an opening.
I had one yesterday where a woman said, restaurant? I said, yes, we are a restaurant. She said, not a post office? And I said, no, but there's a post office up the street if you want to stop in for a meal after you drop off.
There you go.
Yeah, because she's the weird person that is...
A post office.
Yeah. It's her fault.
Yeah.
That you named your restaurant Postmaster.
I had a guy call the other day, and when I was like... Because I don't do any of the formalities. I say Postmaster Restaurant, and then continue the conversation from there. I said Postmaster Restaurant. He goes, huh? I was like, Postmaster Restaurant. He goes, speak up, son. I can't hear you. I was like, Postmaster Restaurant. Then he goes, you're the postmaster, and your name is Restaurant. I was like,
yep.
That's hard
exactly
no, but yeah.
Speaking of words and names, your Instagram handle, Chef, is Psychoplexion?
I have no idea how to pronounce it.
Okay. What's the meaning behind that?
So, back in my younger days, I like to just
Is this your rap name?
It is.
I like to put CJ Lopez, but with an X instead of a Z, because I'm edgy. And I was making my Instagram handle that, and autocorrect did one of those autocorrect things where it made up a word. I've Googled it. It's nothing offensive in any language, trust me.
Not offending anybody here.
Yeah.
But it kind of just stuck, because I was like, that's a stupid word. I'm going to run with it. And
Okay.
like, I'll be downtown, and people will be like, you're a Cyclopexion. And I'm like, yep, have no idea, but yeah, it's fun.
Nice.
That's the name of the next restaurant.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
Well, I'm going to bastardize the quote, but Greg Cox even alluded to in the review about the server saying something to the effect like, we're just all part of this team.
The gentleman he's speaking about, Tony, he was a farmer. He had never waited tables before in his life. And so we gave him an opportunity to bring his knowledge of the farm to the table, and he's the number one server that spends more time at the tables literally telling people about where that okra is from and where that mushroom is from and
how to grow it in your backyard.
How to grow it in your backyard.
And chef's like, this calamari is dying in the window.
Yeah, runner.
Tony!
It is true. I mean, we had a little bit of a VIP in the other day, and Tony was waiting on that table.
I mean, I'm not VIP, but
And by the end of it, when they were all leaving, they were the last ones in there, she pulled me aside and said, Tony is amazing.
Tony,
way,
if you never had a better opportunity to ask for a raise.
Yeah.
Everybody that's going to be calling the reservation after you hear this
wants Tony.
Can we get Tony's table?
Yeah.
The two most heard things are, I want a table from Tony, and how do I ship this?
Yeah, exactly. The another great thing I think that just about this area is Chris touched on a little bit is, we're working with such great vendors. We don't have any national vendors that we work with.
Yeah.
So everything that we're bringing in is local. So, a little bit of how we transition from season to season is really what we're given an opportunity to work with. As much as I love a good avocado or something, we don't have avocado because it's not local. And that's not to say we'll never do something that's not local. Citrus isn't local, but we.
Well, you got to get that octopus from somewhere, and that is not coming from the coast of North Carolina.
Not.
That is not.
That's probably Spanish.
It was Spanish.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you guys for what you do. For all you out there listening, come get your reservations in for August 23rd. It's going to be a real busy night. And if you can't make it that night, go to Postmasters, go to downtown Cary, go to Pharmacy and Bottle. You will eat and drink very merrily.
Guests of the NC F&B podcast receive a swag bag, including gifts from these exceptional North Carolina producers. Social House Vodka, Hungry Harvest, Alley 26 Tonic Syrup, Michael's English Muffins, Larry's Beans and 42 in Lawrence, Ramona Wine Coolers, and Happy Hour Vitamins. Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. I am the voice, Brian Hoyle. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes, and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.